You know, Joe Biden has every right to be really mad. After all, Kamala Harris and a few people in charge basically knocked him out of the seat. And I think that may just have a little something to do with his revenge tour that's going on right about now. I got to show you excerpts coming up on today's Trish Regan Show. Plus, brand new prediction poll out from Nate Silver. We're going to tell you just exactly why Kamala Harris has not managed to move at all in the polls. I mean, just a teeny tiny smidge. But Donald Trump is still firmly in the electoral college poll lead. Not to mention tied, completely tied for the popular vote now. This is just amazing to see, you guys. And he's firing off at ABC News. He thinks basically they need their license taken away for the total bias. We're going to discuss all of that. First of all, welcome to the program. It is so good to have you here, as always. Do me the favor, if you're just joining us here for the first time, we've seen a tremendous surge in viewership, and I appreciate that so much. Could you please make sure that you subscribe, like, share, make a comment, all of that. We're live here, so I get to see your comments in real time. Careful. Anyway, great to have you here. As I said, this is just amazing when we see what exactly Joe Biden's up to. Revenge. Revenge. I mean, what else are you going to call it, right? They took it away from the poor guy. He wasn't exactly destined to win, let's be honest, right? So they figured they had to do something. They put Kamala in the seat. Now he's out there in Pennsylvania. He's supposed to be campaigning for her. He's at a firehouse. I showed you some of this yesterday in real time, and I'm like, wait a second, is this real? Like, let's make sure it's not AI. Let's make sure that this is totally 1,000% real, et cetera. Oh, it's real, baby. It's real. And the White House is saying, well, he's just showing his bipartisanship. Yeah, right. Okay? I've known a lot of people that have known Joe Biden for a long time, and he's not exactly warm and fuzzy. And he holds grudges, I'm told, for a really long time. So it may just have a little something to do with this move. Look at this video.
I'll give you my presidential hat. Presidential seal on it.
You want to autograph it?
Oh, sure, I'll autograph it.
Huh?
Yeah.
You remember your name?
I don't remember my name. I'm slow.
You're an old part. You're an old part.
Yeah, I know, man. I'm an old guy.
You're an old part.
I know you would know about that.
What?
About being old.
Oh, I know.
All right.
I'm a young timer.
You know, he reminds me of the guys I grew up with. There was always one in the neighborhood.
Yeah. Well, I'm the only one.
There you go, man. I need that hat.
You want my autograph?
Hell no.
You know my name. Come on.
I ain't going that far.
Yeah, you said you would do a selfie. There he goes. Yeah. Hey, I'm proud of you now.
Can we go back and see? Look at that. Here we go. Let's watch it again. He actually put it on.
You said you would do a selfie. There he goes.
Unbelievable.
I'm proud of you now.
Just remember, no eating dogs and cats.
And then he said, hey, remember, just don't eat dogs and cats. So he's sort of trying to make fun of Donald Trump there.
You like the pizza?
But that's pretty remarkable.
You guys pick the place to get. I don't know.
Okay, that I'm just going to say that's really, really remarkable. I don't know as we've ever seen that in politics before. So many of you guys, I played part of this yesterday, not as good a shot, not as good an angle. We got a better piece of video in today, so I had to share that with you. But so many of you were like, oh, wow, it's like the first time Joe said anything that made sense. It's the first time I've actually liked Joe. The problem for the Democrat Party is that when you take out a guy like that, and understandably, I felt like they felt they had to. I still think they should have primaried him, right? That would have been the logical, appropriate thing to do way back when, but they didn't do that. So they made the decision very late in the game that they had to take him out, and they did that. And listen, like Americans, they aren't really okay with that. And some tried and true Democrats that were going to vote for Joe Biden feel like there was an old switcheroo and they don't really like it, which is why he's pulling so poorly with men, specifically white, older men that Joe might have been able to bring in. So she can't win a poll in Pennsylvania. I mean, I think Trump's right. I think Joe Biden hates Kamala Harris. And that's why you see him in Pennsylvania donning a Trump hat. This is Donald Trump in the debate saying what I think we know.
When this weak, pathetic man that you saw at a debate just a few months ago, that if he weren't in that debate, he'd be running instead of her. She got no votes. He got 14 million votes. What you did, you talk about a threat to democracy. He got 14 million votes and they threw him out of office. And you know what? I'll give you a little secret. He hates her. He can't stand her. But he got 14 million votes. They threw him out. She got 0 votes. And when she ran, she was the first one to leave because she failed. And now she's running. I don't understand it, but I'm okay with it because
your time is
I think
up.
we're going to do very well.
We've got a lot more to get to.
In other words, he really hates her. He really hates her. But, you know, for good reason, probably. I think I know why he hates her, guys. I think it's because it has a little something to do with that 2020 debate. Remember when she just started attacking him really viciously? She said some really, really heinous stuff, and I think I have it for you. I want to play a little walk down memory lane so we can understand the real reason why Joe Biden hates Kamala Harris.
Vice President Biden, we're going to get to you. Hang on. We're going to get
on stage. I would like to speak on the issue of race.
Okay, you hear her, guys? So she's jumping into the conversation. She's hijacking the conversation. She's got to speak on the issue of race. It's not what they're talking about. She interrupts all the monitors because, once again, this is Kamala Harris, mean girl, who's going to take over the conversation and go for the jugular however she can. This didn't play out so well for her, and guess what? It's not playing out so well yet again. We're going to get to those polls momentarily, but first, understand why Joe Biden really hates Kamala Harris.
If I could preface this, we will give you 30 seconds, and we're going to come back to you on this again in just a moment. Go for 30 seconds.
Okay. So, on the issue of race, I couldn't agree more that this is an issue that is still not being talked about truthfully and honestly. There is not a black man I know, be he a relative, a friend, or a coworker, who has not been the subject of some form of profiling or discrimination. Growing up, my sister and I had to deal with the neighbor who told us her parents couldn't play with us because we were black. And I will say also that in this campaign, we have also heard, and I'm going to now direct this at Vice President Biden, I do not believe you are a racist. And I agree with you when you commit yourself to the importance of finding common ground. But I also believe, and it's personal, and I was actually it was hurtful to hear you talk about the reputations of 2 United States senators who built their reputations and career on the segregation of race in this country. And it was not only that, but you also worked with them to oppose busing. And, you know, there was a little girl in California who was part of the second
Here we go.
class to integrate her public schools. And she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me. So I will tell you that on this subject, it cannot be an intellectual debate among Democrats. We have to take it seriously. We have to act swiftly. As Attorney General of California, I was very proud to put in place a requirement that all my special agents would wear body cameras and keep those cameras on.
Senator Harris, thank you. Vice President.
Yeah, it got even worse because at some point she looks at him and she said, "I don't believe you're a racist, Joe. But are you? Are you really a racist?" I mean, it was really kind of unbelievable. Dr. Jill Biden, his wife, was so angry and so offended by the whole thing that one would think Kamala Harris would not have wound up as vice president of the United States. She wouldn't have wound up on the top of the ticket with the likes of Joe Biden. But somehow, someone in the establishment kind of handpicked her. Obama, I'm looking at you. handpicked her and said, that's going to be Kamala Harris at the top of the ticket. And somehow Joe went along with it. And then what happens? Kamala Harris comes out from under and takes the gig away. So yeah, he kind of hates her. He absolutely hates her. And this is why he's out there in Pennsylvania willing to put on a Donald Trump hat. He knew.
Hey, they're good. Thank you.
He knew full well what that would actually mean. He totally knew that it would be a huge disturbance.
That you saw at a debate just a few months ago, that if he weren't in that debate, he'd be running instead of her. She got no votes. He got 14 million votes. What you did, you talk about a threat to democracy. He got 14 million votes, and they threw him out of office. And you know what? I'll give you a little secret. He hates her. He can't stand her.
A lot of truth on that stage, huh? Coming from one mouth there the other night. Anyway, it's showing up now in the polls. New polls just out today, including a prediction poll from Nate Silver, his Silver Bulletin, suggesting that, once again, Kamala Harris is going to lose the Electoral College. No wonder they want to get rid of the Electoral College. You know, who wants to have to fuss with the likes of 4 Electoral College votes from New Hampshire or 19 from Pennsylvania when really you just want to count New York and California and call it a day. Well, anyway, these electoral votes are a little bit of a problem for her. I want to show you what just came in from Nate. Here we go. Take a look at that, you guys. This breaking, just moments ago, breaking news. You can see Donald Trump once again in the lead at this moment. He is down ever so slightly. I want to be very forthcoming, but look at that, 61.6%. That's the prediction model showing a 61.6% chance of Donald Trump winning the Electoral College versus Kamala Harris at 38.1%. So that is really pretty darn stunning. Now, I got to tell you, going into the debate on September 9th, we were looking at 64.4% Trump, 35.3% Harris. That was the biggest spread we had seen. So the spread has narrowed slightly. But keep in mind, the woman allegedly won the debate according to all of the pundits out there. And the woman just secured Taylor Swift's endorsement, and still all she can pull off is a 38.1% chance of winning the whole shindig. I mean, Nate Silver, let me share with you what was put in Newsweek here. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, but I want to expand on this, guys, because they're basically saying, you know, look, the reason, or he's saying the reason she's not seeing perhaps more upside here is because she's not getting enough momentum out of each of these events. It's expected that she would get a lot of momentum, say out of a Taylor Swift endorsement, or a lot of momentum out of a debate that the pundits are saying she totally won, but she's not getting that. And so that's actually very concerning for the Democrats. I mean, they're kind of freaking out right now. I can tell you why she's not getting it, because you've got all these states, right, where the economy really matters. Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Nevada, Georgia, North Carolina, Arizona. They're neck and neck. We all know that Donald Trump doesn't poll that well, right? So when you actually throw all these numbers into the prediction model, which is a little bit like a financial model, they're taking like, you know, thousands and thousands of different scenarios and trying to see in all of these scenarios where you wind up. And again, you're with a better than 60% chance now of Donald Trump winning the Electoral College. The other thing that's really of note is that they are now neck and neck, 49% to 49% chance of winning, according to Nate Silver's compilation, winning the popular vote. So Donald Trump had always been lagging behind in terms of getting the popular vote. Now he's neck and neck. So that actually certainly bodes well for him. Of course, all you need is the Electoral College, because if you get the Electoral College, then you won the whole thing. Then you're going to the Oval Office. And what's incredible right now is, despite that debate, which all the pundits seem to think that she won, she's not actually picking up more momentum in that prediction poll. Again, anything can happen, and there's a lot of news events that are transpiring over the next couple of days. Some talk of maybe Travis Kelce coming out. That would be Taylor's boyfriend for her. She's doing very poorly, again, with white men. And in places like Pennsylvania, that's really and truly going to matter. The other thing is that she was kind of hoping she could get some independents. But the independents aren't coming forward either. I mean, I want to show you something. This is very interesting. So Fox News had a trend line going on during the debate. And I want to show you this clip because when they start talking about the economy, she specifically talks about the economy. What you see is that the independents are totally with Republicans. The independents are in yellow, Republicans are in red. Let's watch this clip together. If you're listening on Apple Audio, thank you, or Spotify podcast, thank you for that. You'll hear this soundbite, and what you should know is that independents were lockstep pretty much with conservatives when they responded to hearing Kamala discuss the economy. In other words, they don't have a lot of faith in her.
So Donald Trump has no plan for you. And when you look at his economic plan, it's all about tax breaks for the richest people. I am offering what I describe as an opportunity economy, and the best economists in our country, if not the world, have reviewed our relative plans for the future of America. What Goldman Sachs has said is that Donald Trump's plan would make the economy worse, mine would strengthen the economy. What the Wharton School has said is Donald Trump's plan would actually explode the deficit. 16 Nobel laureates have described his economic plan as something that would increase inflation and by the middle of next year would invite a recession.
It's a great plan. It's a plan that's going to bring up our worth, our value as a country. It's going to make people want to be able to go and work and create jobs and create a lot of good, solid money for our country. And just to finish off, she doesn't have a plan. She copied Biden's plan, and it's like 4 sentences, like run, spot, run. 4 sentences that are just, we'll try and lower taxes. She doesn't have a plan. They had the highest inflation perhaps in the history of our country, because I've never seen a worse period of time. People can't go out and buy cereal or bacon or eggs or anything else. The people of our country are absolutely dying with what they've done. They've destroyed the economy.
Wow.
So my values have not changed, and I'm going to discuss at least every point that you've made. But in particular, let's talk about fracking, because we're here in Pennsylvania. I made that very clear in 2020. I will not ban fracking. I have not banned fracking as Vice President of the United States. And in fact, I was the tie-breaking vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which opened new leases for fracking.
And did nothing to reduce inflation?
My position is that we have got to invest in diverse sources of energy so we reduce our reliance on foreign oil.
Okay, so what's amazing to me about that you see the trend lines there. What you're seeing is that independents are tracking so closely with Republicans on all of those issues. Remember to subscribe, share, like, comment, all that good stuff. I find that really quite telling. And so again, when you go back to the prediction model and you see, for example, today that Nate Silver is still giving a better than 61% chance of Donald Trump winning the Electoral College, I think it's really quite telling. I mean, yeah, you can scream from the rafters that she was fantastic in the debate and she tore him up and she got under his skin. But ultimately, I don't think that really matters to people. Here's what matters to voters right now. Whether or not they can afford to save a little money, whether or not they can fill their gas tanks and put food on the table and, maybe if they're lucky enough, take a vacation. I mean, the economy is a big freaking deal when it's not going well. Like when it's going great. And this is perhaps how Biden got in the first place, because everybody thought, everything's great, inflation's low and everybody was living high on the hog because they had all those stimmy checks coming in the mail. Well, it's catching up with them. And CNN had a little bit of a reality check forced upon them, right? They're talking to all these voters in a focus group, and listen to what these voters say, because the pundits are here. Oh, she won. And the voters are somewhere else.
How many of you have made up your minds based on what you saw tonight on stage in Philadelphia? Raise your hands. All right, I want to ask you why. What did you see that brought you to a conclusion?
I think it's important to remember that we are voting for the leader of our country and not who we like the most or who we want in our wedding party, but who is actually going to make our country better. And we're in an incredibly unique situation where we've had both of the candidates in office before, and we've gotten to see what they would do. And when facts come to facts, my life was better when Trump was in office. The economy was higher, inflation was lower, things were better overall. And now with Kamala's administration, things haven't been so fantastic. And she's saying she can fix the problems that her administration has caused, but I just don't know if I can afford to take that risk.
You see, so that's sort of where people are coming out. And I've heard that over and over and over again in all of these focus groups. It's like all the networks got a little dose of reality. So people are struggling. And they don't have a lot of faith because, hey, you know, things were not that bad when Donald Trump was. I mean, he had to deal with some personality things and some fiery tweets, etc. But they felt more secure financially. They don't feel that way anymore. And so why would they take a chance on somebody who's already been there 3.5 years, who's like, no, I'm an opportunity economy. I mean, she literally did copy and paste. They reported on this, like the source code is literally the same. Her team went and copied and pasted the policy from Joe Biden and slapped it onto her website just hours before the debate because, you know, you can't really be running a campaign and not have any policy on the website, which is the way it had been for quite a number of weeks. You know, no policy, no interviews. Now she wants to do another debate. Are you kidding me? So here's my view on that, guys, and this is important. There's no way he should do another debate because this woman doesn't play fair. She is a classic mean girl. She says, I'm going to use a nice word here. She says very inarticulate, very hostile things to those that are her competitors. I mean, we saw the 2020 clip. Joe, are you a racist? I'd like to think you're not a racist, but are you? I mean, remember with Joe Biden, the 2020 debate that caused her to get like less than 1% in the New Hampshire primary? Nobody liked her. So she's willing to really be incredibly mean. And yes, you run the risk that she's going to get under your skin. I mean, especially when you get the debate moderators on top of it. So my advice would be, don't even bother. She's not actually going to debate policy with you. She won't answer the questions. She's just going to attack, and lie. I mean, she just flat out lied. I mean, she's citing things like Charlottesville that's been corrected by Snopes. I mean, she's blaming him for all of COVID. And I mean, on and on and on and on. Trying to blame him for inflation when he handed her like 1.7% inflation. I'm sorry, Kamala. You don't deserve a debate. You really don't. Now, I would love to see a substantive conversation, I've said, with the likes of me, frankly, who understands the economy. Or, you know, get some people from business. Hey, you know what? Pull in Jamie Dimon from JP Morgan Chase. All right? He actually understands how markets work. Let's see if Kamala's policy is going to hold up there. Let's have Elon come in and talk about technology, shall we? With Elon, I mean, with Kamala Harris and with Donald Trump. And we really need more substance. And let's make it 3 or 4 hours and have a real conversation. Well, that's not actually going to happen. Because you've got debate moderators out there that are on her side, that are playing for her team, that don't actually referee in any way, shape, or form. Whatever happened to, the mics are going to get closed. Well, they weren't really closed. Everybody was able to talk. I mean, they didn't really talk over each other, but she would jump in and she attacked alongside the two moderators. So I do not believe at this point he should do another debate because my feeling, and I feel very strongly about this, is that she's not capable of having a substantive conversation that is intellectual in any way, shape, or form. All she is capable of doing is attacking. She's shown this before on the debate stage. She is not a deep thinker. She is only in attack mode. So forget about it. It's not worth his time. It's not worth our time. Let's move on. He's got the advantage. Don't stoop to her level. Don't give in by offering her a platform or any opportunity to attack you like that. No. You can't be an adult, Kamala? Well, You don't deserve to be on that stage. I mean, you really don't. Literally, you don't. You weren't elected to the position. You've never really won any kind of race, have you now? I mean, maybe you could say, well, the Senate in San Francisco, because, they just propped up somebody at the last minute to run against her, even though the establishment had already chosen her, et cetera. No, she really does not deserve from a merit perspective. And we do still live in a meritocracy, even though she's trying to destroy that with her DEI nonsense. I mean, even Wall Street is abandoning that because they've realized, oh, this is not going to work. You actually need to turn a profit. Hey, we are a country that is the hegemonic power in the world, that is the biggest economy in the world, that is the most successful nation in the world. Why? Because we have been historically a meritocracy. She wants to take that away. She's evidence herself of what happens when you're just given a gig. You're just given a job. And so, no, he should not be on that stage with Kamala Harris. Do me the favor of subscribing, sharing, liking, all that good stuff. This is amazing. Donald Trump at war with ABC News now. Actually going so far as to say, maybe the whole network should be shut down because they have to have certain licenses, broadcast licenses. I mean, it's an interesting point. You know me. I don't believe in ever shutting down speech. I really don't. I believe that the cure to bad speech is actually more speech. It's one of the reasons why I love this platform right here, because we've been growing and growing and growing thanks to all of your support. Thank you for that. We're up over 350,000 now, and that's thanks to your enthusiasm. So no, I don't believe that we should be shutting down speech in any way. But here's the thing, any kind of extra whatever you get from the government, you maybe don't deserve ABC, because you clearly are biased. I mean, that was so evident. I mean, it was nauseating how much bias was on stage there. And so Donald Trump is out swinging. Here he is on Fox saying, to heck with that network. Let's listen.
As I heard the word, it's sort of a vicious word, but referring to the economy, they have created an economy. Bloodbath was the word that I used. And it was fine in that context. And they were trying to make it sound like there was a riot or something, and it was a bloodbath. IVF, I was a leader on IVF, the IVF, which is fertilization. I was a total leader on that. When I first heard about it, like right from the beginning, I was one of...
In this case, he's referring to all of her lies. But let me go back to a little bit earlier on, because I think that we do have him saying, look, the whole thing should be shut down. Here we go.
The lies that she said about you. Listen.
A detailed and dangerous plan called Project 2025 that the former president intends on implementing. Couples who pray and
None of this was fact-checked, by the way. None of it. I mean, they were all over Donald Trump, but nothing got fact-checked.
Dream of having a family are being denied IVF treatments. If Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will sign a national abortion ban. And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side. On that day, 140 law enforcement officers were injured, and some died. Donald Trump, the candidate, has said in this election there will be a bloodbath. If this and the...
Incidentally, he was referring to the economy, right? They talk about a bloodbath on Wall Street, right? Because he was talking about what would happen if Mexico continued sending everybody, he was talking about tariffs, et cetera, and how he would put all these tariffs in and that there would be severe economic consequences. Anyway, she went on, and he said...
Economy, what's your reaction to... Why didn't the moderators correct her?
Because they're dishonest, and because I think ABC took a big hit last night. I mean, to be honest, they're a news organization. They have to be licensed to do it. They ought to take away their license for the way they did that. Bloodbath was referring to the economy. Everybody loved the term because as soon as they heard the word, it's sort of a vicious
Anyway, what's
word.
fascinating there is what he's talking about. And this is what they're all worried about, right? So he has to be cautious on that, because the minute you start saying, I'm going to take away their license, and they start getting really, really ornery, and they're, he's a dictator, et cetera, et cetera. That's not really the case. By the way, I would only point out that during the Trump administration, reporters were actually told off straight to their faces by him. Remember the squabbles and stuff that Jim Acosta and he would get into from CNN, versus, say, the Kamala Harris Biden administration, or the Obama administration for that matter, which actually would work aggressively. And this has all come out. Thank you very much, Mark Zuckerberg. It's all come out to suppress stories that they didn't like making the rounds. And they would effectively say, this is disinformation, and intimidate people into squashing these stories, something that Mark Zuckerberg admitted to in a recent letter to Jim Jordan on the Oversight Committee, and said that he indeed regretted. The other problem with both the recent Democrat administrations is that they actually, in some cases, were aggressively going after journalists. I mean, Cheryl Atkinson, who I used to work with, as well as there was a reporter, Jim Rosen at Fox, who had this issue, both with the Obama administration. Then Matt Taibbi has the IRS from Biden-Harris showing up on his doorstep on the day that he's supposed to testify about Twitter. I mean, this is wild, right? None of that happened, actually, with Donald Trump. I know the fellow who ran digital for the White House, and I've talked to him at length about some of these things that happened. And what did happen during the Biden administration was they aggressively tried to arm wrestle a lot of companies to make sure that certain stories were suppressed. So when it comes to freedom of the press, I think, once again, you can go back and look at 4 years where we had it, and then you can look at 3.5 years, plus the other 8 years where we really didn't. So that's concerning. On top of it, you've got a lot of bias there. Certainly on the ABC front, you've got the president of ABC News, who actually introduced Kamala Harris to Dougie Boy, her husband. And you've got one of the moderators having gone on George Stephanopoulos' show. He's, by the way, getting sued by Donald Trump, as is ABC, as a network, for libel. She went on his show and started talking about her sorority sister, Kamala Harris. Watch.
Lindsay Davis, Robin Roberts is right. It's a sorority thing. I don't understand it all. So you have to explain it to everybody.
Sure.
You're a sorority sister of Kamala Harris.
Right. Well, you know, pearls are a symbol of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, which she pledged while she was at Howard University. And the strand of pearls is symbolic of the unity and the sisterhood. OK, but on this day, there's actually a Facebook page of women who say wear pearls on January 20th, 2021. And hundreds of thousands of women are apparently wearing pearls in support of her.
Okay. So, you know, look, everybody's pretty cozy. They really like her. And that bias is something that came out for sure in the debate. I think as a journalist, I look at that and I'm really amazed that people would be so willing to just throw their profession to the side. I mean, look, when you do an interview, you're doing an interview. And when you're doing a debate, I've moderated 2 of them. Listen, you've got to put some of your personal feelings aside. It's just the right thing to do. Now, you get it all from me here on this show. You hear all of my personal feelings about everything. But hopefully we are trying to at least bring you both sides, bring your perspective on both sides, of course, and you know where I stand. But when it comes to a debate, that's when you take the back seat, right? I'm talking a lot here in this show, but if I were doing a debate, I wouldn't be talking. I wouldn't be talking very much at all. I'd be asking a question, and I'd try and hold both sides accountable, as I have done in the past, but that's not what we saw on stage from David Muir and this Lindsay woman. Not at all. And so they clearly got some kind of mandate. I know how this works, right? I'm glad I'm not at a network right now, but I know how it works. They got some kind of mandate saying, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it. And so they were told to keep their voices very calm, very, not hysterical. Don't pull any of that. Just be very calm and sound very in control and tell Donald Trump he's wrong, but don't tell Kamala Harris she's wrong. No, you can't do that. So no, there's no way he should do another debate at this point. There's just no way. It makes absolutely no sense. And I go back to the fact that, you know what, when you look at these polls right now, again, he's still way ahead. So what's it going to take for Kamala to climb forward? I don't know if she can. Again, you consider her weakness there among male voters. You consider her weakness on issues like the economy, and that's the stuff that matters to people. I get it, right? I mean, of course it matters to people. It's one of the reasons why I know it matters to you. I want to put 76 Research up here. This is my financial research company, guys. I'm so proud of this. You can get this research. It's just, look, it's best in class. It's independent, completely independent research, which, by the way, you don't get a lot of on Wall Street. And if you were to get it, it would cost tens of thousands of dollars a year. And that's sort of how that game is played. But I started 76 Research alongside my co-founder, Rob Horton, who spent a couple decades on Wall Street. He's brilliant. He's a phenomenal stock picker. I have a very good grasp, obviously, on the macro situation, having worked in this industry now 20 plus years. And what we decided was, what if we could actually bring Wall Street, many thousands of dollars, quality research, our views on where the market is, where it's heading, where we want to be positioned for long-term growth, et cetera. If we could bring that to everyone at an affordable level, like that would be kind of revolutionary and kind of a game changer. So that's what we've done. We've created 76 Research, me specifically with all of you in mind. And we have 3 different model portfolios there, plus the 76 report. You can get all the model portfolios if you sign up for the Founders Club. That's the best value, albeit the most expensive. Or for just $1 a month, use code word dollar, DOLLAR. You can get the 76 report, which includes some of our stock picks from the model portfolios, and just a wealth of information about overall market trends, et cetera. And after the $1 a month introduction rate, you get that for 2 months, it goes to $9.95. You can cancel, of course, no charge anytime. So I created this with Rob for you guys. We really felt like there was a need. I have so many people come up to me and say, how do I do this? What do I do? I think back over the years, like literally every makeup artist I'd have at work would be like, how do I start this? I have this 401k, I don't know what to do. And so I really wanted to be able to share some of my knowledge and Rob's knowledge and expertise with all of America. So 76research.com, please go check it out. Use the code word dollar, get that entry level product. If nothing else, go sign up for the free stuff, okay? So you can go to the website and do that. But for those of you that are more aggressively interested in investing, we have an inflation protection portfolio, we have an American resilience portfolio. We also have the income builder portfolio. I have showed you the income builder portfolio. Our top 5 holdings have just grown tremendously in the 3 months for the last quarter that we were tracking them. I'm trying to see if I have the graphic that I can show you. I do. So let me show you here. So take a look at that. This is the income builder portfolio. Those are the top 5 holdings, up 26%, 22%, 20, 19, 16. You think about the median return of our income builder portfolio, which has been 15%, again, in the quarter ending at the end of August versus the S&P, which had been up 6%. So that's kind of a big deal. And, it's something I'm super proud of, and Rob is super proud of. And the other thing I just want to tell you, and this is important because there's a company that we added on July 8th. I believe that's the right date. It might have been July 12th, but no, I think it's July 8th. We added one company in particular that we felt was a valuable play that wasn't NVIDIA, right? Because you can get NVIDIA, and like NVIDIA is very, very expensive right now. So was there anything else out there in our view that would be an opportunity for investors that wasn't NVIDIA and therefore hadn't been built up in the same kind of way and maybe didn't have the same kind of, volatility. So we found this, we had been watching this company and it felt like it was a very good opportunity at that moment in time. And sure enough, it is up pretty significantly compared to, if you look at some of yesterday's numbers, you had a market that is down 2% there in the S&P. Our July 12th stock pick is up 8%. S&P Tech Index down 10%. NVIDIA itself down 16%. This would be for ending on Monday. And this is a stock that we picked July 12th. So again, you can get all this information. You can get the picks. Go to 76research.com. I want to also just mention one more thing, because again, I like to check the betting markets. It's not just Nate Silver and his prediction model. I really do like to look at the betting markets to see where Donald Trump is vis-a-vis Kamala Harris right now. I can report, if I look over at Polymarket right now, you haven't seen a tremendous change there. They're actually still neck and neck at Polymarket. So people are a little reticent to put money on the line, perhaps because of the Taylor Swift thing. I actually don't think ultimately that Taylor is going to have that much weight. I think that, basically it's a lot of young girls that aren't even of age to vote, and that's not going to be a tremendous push for Kamala Harris and the way that her campaign is hoping. Now, Travis might be a bigger deal. Travis is actually reportedly, let me see if I can find this article for you, reportedly considering coming forward and supporting someone. So according to the Daily Mail, which has the exclusive on the story, Travis Kelce is expected to make some kind of announcement very, very soon. So his girlfriend, Taylor Swift, just announced that she's going to endorse Kamala Harris. And Travis Kelce, who carries a little more weight with men, is expected to make an endorsement as well. And if you peel back the layers in this report, according to the Daily Mail, he is going to follow his girlfriend. He is going to do exactly what Taylor Swift did, and he is also going to support Kamala Harris. How much will that affect things? Again, I don't think it's going to matter, because I think just a lot of men are like, wait a second, this lady, she doesn't like me very much. She doesn't like men very much, it seems, right? And she did say she wanted to get rid of fracking. She made that very clear, and a lot of other things very, very clear that aren't necessarily in the male demographic's favor. So consequently, I don't know again, this is going to have the kind of intended effect that the Kamala Harris campaign would like. But it's these kind of events perhaps that investors are watching for when you look at Polymarket and they're not yet ready to move in the way that, say, the Nate Silver Index has indicated. Just a reminder, it's great to have you all here. Please make sure that you subscribe to the show, that you share the show, that you comment on the show. I read all of them. It's good to see so many familiar faces, or names anyway, I should say, and handles here in the live stream comments right now. I'm going to be back with you again tomorrow. We got much, much more to discuss. Again, I'm watching the prediction models. I do not believe at this stage anyway that the news flow is in the favor of Kamala Harris. Now we'll see. They're trying to get you down, so don't let them. Don't let them. But we will continue the conversation right here on the Trish Regan channel tomorrow.